All right, welcome to the latest episode of Thru Da Garden. Before we get to the introductions, I just want to shout out to all the lovely Guardians fans on TikTok. I'm so glad you guys are doing what you do best, and that's watching your team once again fail to win the World Series.
Yikes. Yikes.
Congratulations to you guys. With that, Alex, Tommy, how are we doing?
I was hoping that we were going to start the show with your college football team. How'd they do this weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
Brought it
no.
right down.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. Hey, Alex.
Maybe it's like, hey, yeah, maybe maybe it's like a one or the other thing. Like maybe now that the Bears have a quarterback, my college football team just can't be good anymore.
It's possible. It's
Yeah.
possible.
But yeah,
Anyways, hello. Happy to be here.
yeah, no, we would definitely get to the week that was in college football because yeah, Saturday was another miserable experience for me. But let's start off with the boys of summer. We will get to the World Series, but there was actually some interesting Cubs news that broke yesterday. Our guy, Gold Glove, should have been finalist, Nico Hoerner, underwent surgery to repair a flexor tendon injury. He was apparently playing through it for most of the season. Alex, I did see your tweet. That is incredible what he was able to do while playing through that injury. But the 6 to 9 month timeline does put into question the Cubs' offseason plans. Let's start there. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we knew something wasn't completely right during the regular season. We were under the impression that he was having issues with his hands. And, we did see him slump a little bit at times, but to hit 273 with a WRC plus just above 100 with that kind of injury, you got to give him props, especially with this day and age, with how hard pitchers are throwing. You're facing 95 plus miles an hour in the box, and able to make contact with that injury. That is pretty impressive. Now, yeah, that is a big question. What are they going to do? Was it ever in the cards to maybe trade Nico to try to shake things up? I really don't know, but there was a lot of speculation over that. So they're going to have to make some decisions, obviously, going to this offseason. If Nico was part of those plans, how does that get altered? I mean, you have to ask that, but yeah, that timetable, this isn't like a 2 or 3 month thing. We don't know exactly when he's going to be able to play again. Because think about it, it's already late October, November, December, January, February. That's when people start reporting to Mesa. That's well before Nico's going to be able to play again. It's going to be kind of interesting to see. I hope he recovers well. I love Nico, and again, props to him for doing what he was still able to do and playing Gold Glove defense too. That's
Yeah.
not easy on an injured hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, all props to Nico for going through that. And yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder what kind of player he would have been without the injury because he was so good with the injury. But also, the first thing that came to mind to me was what if the Cubs, when he initially had the injury, actually sat him down and was like, hey, why don't you take some time on the IL to get this figured out? I mean, we'll never know for sure, but I have to believe that things wouldn't be this bad right now if he were to just sit down and be like, okay, my hand is broken. I need to heal it. It's just, I feel like that was obviously his decision because obviously you want to play. At that time, the Cubs
He
were
felt good enough to play, yes.
yeah, and the Cubs were super slumping. This was a team with expectations, and they slumped right off the bat. And he felt responsible for some of the slump and wanted to fix it. So I give him credit. But where is this front office trying to protect the future and trying to protect a young ball player who is very, very good, who you just signed to an extension? Like, what are you thinking? Why can't we just put him on the IL, give him a month or so to figure it out, and then come back and be the full force ball player that he is? Like, that was the first thing I thought of. And obviously there's no way to prove that that is the case. There's no way to know whatever, but it just brings more questions to what was the thought process behind letting him play through this.
No, agreed. And it's interesting because the news of Nico's surgery came a week after the Athletic kind of did some in-depth reporting about what was going on with Dansby Swanson in the first half and him playing through that knee injury that he suffered April 25th against the Houston Astros. And really, you could look at his numbers from April 25th through the end of May. And let me just scroll up. He had a 175, 241, 238, 40 WRC plus slash line. And what I wrote about that kind of in-depth reporting is it speaks to a larger issue of what's going on or what's been a problem with the Cubs organization. They think that it's some type of badge of honor to have their players gut through an injury and play through an injury when the outside of what Nico was able to do playing through his, but more times than not, it's what the struggles we saw from Swanson from the end of April to through May. And that type of production can sink a team as we kind of saw it did with the Cubs. So I think injury management, whether that's something that Craig Counsell's arrival year into it is something that gets better, it does have to be addressed because we can't go into another season where we're having multiple players injured but not going on the IL.
Yeah, and if we're going to talk about guys gutting it out and not wanting to do it, and not Craig, Jed blaming injuries for all the things and the wind and wherever it was going. How about the Los Angeles Dodgers? They were injured more than anybody this season, and now they're playing for a world championship. You know why? Because they're like, hey, you're hurt, go on the IL. We'll bring somebody up. Like we have the reinforcements to do it. Do the Cubs not have a farm system full of these prospects that we've been hearing about for years that could come up for a little while and figure it out while somebody's on the IL? Because that's what I was promised in 2021. So this whole thing was botched. And again, no blame for Nico whatsoever. He wanted to gut it out. He wanted to right the ship. He felt responsible for it. And he did a very damn good job of what he was able to do. Like it was remarkable, the numbers that he was putting up with the injury that he had.
Well, even with Dansby Swanson too, we knew there was something up with him as well.
Exactly.
We knew there was something up with both of them.
What are we doing? What are we doing? No, like just letting these guys play with injuries when you have the prospects ready to go for this very reason, and you're just not even going to use them. Like, I don't know. I shouldn't be this fired up about this in October when the World Series isn't even started yet. It's just so, maybe I'm naive, but this is just so stupid. Like what was the thought process here?
Well, hopefully next year it won't be an excuse because you're going to have a lot of these prospects down in the farm ready to go. Let's be real for a second. And I'm not saying that this is an excuse for the Cubs not taking care of Dansby Swanson's knee when they should have. The reality is, if Dansby Swanson went on the IL, we'd be seeing Miles Mastrobuoni start every day.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
look at the numbers that Dansby was giving us. It's about the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying that was the reality of it at the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I mentioned in the article that I wrote about today. Is part of the problem is also the roster construction when it comes to the bench. Like I mentioned, Dansby during his injury spell, it was roughly 86 plate appearances. He compiled a 40 WRC plus. For the season, you mentioned Miles Mastrobuoni. He posted a 36 WRC plus for 2024. So in the Cubs thinking, if it's Dansby or Miles Mastrobuoni, technically Dansby still had better production. But the fact that we're arguing about, the bottom
anybody
40
versus Miles Mastrobuoni.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And to Alex's point, this is something that should be addressed next season, whether it's Matt Shaw, Cam Smith, James Triantos. You should have talent that's able to come up and step in right away.
I have no confidence whatsoever that they're going to do it though. I'm already doom and gloom for 2025. We haven't even started the offseason yet. Like at Jed's press conference, we heard a lot of, don't hear anything about it. Yeah, Yeah, we're going to talk about it because you're the president of baseball operations for the team and you did a terrible job of trying to put this team in the playoffs. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about it. And yeah, we're going to listen to your words and yeah, we're going to criticize you. It's just insane to me. I know we're going to get to the World Series, but it's the New York Yankees versus the Los Angeles Dodgers, the two premier franchises in baseball that say, you know what? We want to win. So I'm going to put a bunch of money in. And if we don't win, it's going to be on the players because I did my part. And up here, we're like, well, the wind was coming in a lot this year. We had a lot of injuries.
We didn't overperform like we hoped we
Right.
did when we crossed our fingers and shut our eyes.
Right. Yeah. Theo wasn't responding to my texts. Like, these are the stupid excuses that we get with the third largest market, while the other two big markets are fighting for championships. And it's just disgusting that this week I paid my deposit for my season tickets, and a couple weeks I'm going to go pick my new seats and all this money going into this franchise that I can't live without. But they're just eating me alive on the inside because
Tommy's going to be puking the entire time.
He's
writing the check and he's just holding his mouth and vomiting.
Disgusted. I am so mad because it's Yankees and Dodgers, and people are like, oh, well, I'm not going to watch this one because it's what baseball wanted. Duh. It's the biggest stars in baseball finally meeting for the championship.
That's the idea of not marketing your stars.
That's the point. The best teams facing off for a trophy. That's the idea. And we have it. It's going to be electric.
I've seen multiple people tried to say, oh, no one's going to watch this. Are you kidding me?
Right.
These ratings are going to be off the chart.
I don't know
what people didn't want to watch was scrappy ass Corbin Carroll last year.
Yeah. Or Cleveland versus Cleveland versus literally anybody. Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah. Yankees Dodgers is like everybody's favorite baseball cards on the field at the same time.
It's a generational matchup. It's a generational matchup.
So, but hang on. Let me not get away from being mad about the Cubs. We'll get into it. But
we'll get to the World Series.
Yeah, I'm just like, but that's where we should be, right? That's where we should be. We're the third largest market. We should be a shoo-in for the division round championship round every single year, like the Yankees and the Dodgers are, because I don't want to hear like, well, they have a bajillion dollars. Guess what? I'm proof. I can tell you how much I'm paying. The Cubs have a bajillion dollars, whether they want to report it to you or not. There's money there to go get a superstar. They're not going to do it. And everybody's like, well, the Cubs aren't going to do it. So, well, woe is me. Everybody's all Eeyore about it. No, get pissed. Start yelling. Ah!
Well, there's money there. And in an effort to, keep the rage from Tommy going, some early names appeared in the Cubs rumor mill for the offseason. And boys, in a free agency class that includes Corbin Burnes, Juan Soto, Teoscar Hernandez. 3 of the more prevalent names attached to the Cubs so far have been Nathan Eovaldi, Walker Buehler, and Shane Bieber. Max Fried is getting some connections as well, but it does seem like the Cubs for probably the 4th straight offseason are shopping in that mid to low tier of starting pitchers. It worked out well with Jamison Tyon. Shout out to Cubby's Crib. Alex has a article coming out tomorrow about it, so look forward to that. But what are our thoughts on the Cubs once again going to the well for a mid-tier starting pitcher and having that be like the main addition to their rotation this offseason?
I'll be really quick, and then Alex, you can go. 2023, copy paste. 2024, copy paste. 2025. It's going to be the same thing. We're going to be having these same conversations, and Jed's going to get extended for it. Go ahead.
Well, when it comes to pitching, if you get another solid guy and you're able to develop one of Ben Brown or Cade Horton into something really, really good, okay, that's not really what I'm concerned about. I care about having a superstar bat in the lineup. That's what I care about more than anything. If you would have told me, hey, we're going to get another solid starter and Kate Horton or Ben Brown is going to be really good, then you're going to have Steele, Imanaga, Tyone. Okay, fine. That's fine. But to me, it's all about the bat. And frankly, your guy is Juan Soto in terms of star. And I guess you could say Teoscar Hernandez, but Juan Soto is top 3 in baseball players on this planet. He is. I mean, the only people you can argue are better, obviously Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. That's it. That's it.
And where are all 3 of those guys? By the way?
They are in New York and Los Angeles.
And what are
World
they
Series.
doing this week? Oh, okay. Interesting.
They're in the World Series.
Interesting.
And this is going to be a matchup that is probably going to be talked about by our kids and our grandkids after we tell them about it, after we show them this famous World Series and this epic matchup. Listen, we could talk about the exact dollars and cents all we want. We can. But to me, that bothers me is the philosophy of all this. We just need to hope this goes our way. We just need to be good enough. Screw that. Be as good as you can. And you know what? If you try to be as good as you can and you don't quite get there, I would rather try than fail than just limit yourself. Well, if everyone performs and overperforms, if you find value here, here, and here, look, you're going to go as far as your philosophy. And that's exactly what Jed Hoyer has done. He's not bad. The Cubs are not bad, but they're not good enough. They're not championship caliber. And I would just love it if Tom and Jed would come forth and say, our goal is to win the World Series, not we'll sustain over a few years, or, well, we got to make sure we're competitive in this way, that way. Say you want to win the ultimate prize. The ultimate prize is all that matters. If you don't win on the last day of the season, no one gives a shit.
You know why they're not saying that? Because they don't care if they win another one. We're raking in the money. Us idiots are just going to keep paying them. They're in the perfect spot. Jed's not going anywhere. Nobody wants another trophy except for the people in the stands. Because then they have to pay more money.
I do think they want to win and sustain success, but I don't think they're not saying we're going to go out and win a World Series. If they're good enough, if they're winning, they care about winning.
Yeah, they care about
World Series is that other step.
Yeah, they care about being relevant. That's all they care about. They don't care about if there's another trophy in the trophy case. They just want to be relevant. They want to be in the conversation. And the Cubs were in the conversation for a while this year. Like they were right in the wild card race up until the very end. Basically the last week, right? 10 days to go or something like that. I don't know. I'm just like,
no, in the race.
So these pitchers, yeah, sure, whatever. Like if that's what's on the table, that's what's on the table. But you know what else is on the table? Getting these guys and going to buy a superstar. You can do both. There's no rules. There's a tax. There's no rules. Go and do it. Go and pay. I don't care. Like, if the Yankees signed Juan Soto or the Mets signed Juan Soto for $1 billion, fine. I get it. But if he signs for 600, 700, even 800 million, and he is not a Chicago Cub, then don't hit me with, well, we got Walker Buehler. He might work out. Like Pete Crow Armstrong can hit a home run every now and then. Cody's coming back. Like these are not superstars. Juan Soto is generational. What are we doing?
Well, then you got to find one. You either got to develop one or trade for one. That's the only way you're going to do it.
Okay, but how did the Yankees get him? They traded for him.
No.
Go trade for it. Go find a sorry ass franchise like the Nationals or the Pirates or somebody who's grooming these dudes and go find him and go take him from him.
Vladdy. Go get Vladdy.
Go get Vladdy. Go do something. Do something. this stuff, like, we're drafting well and we're getting these cheap contracts that are working out okay. That's sissy ball. Like, go be the third largest market. I feel like I'm talking in circles. I'm saying the same thing over and over again.
Ball.
Go be the
Mhm.
third largest market and be in the World Series and win one.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't have said it better than myself, or couldn't have said it better myself than what you two did. I going to be very frustrated if we get to December, when we inevitably watch the winter meetings coverage on MLB Network, and the Cubs are talking about like, oh, we brought in Nathan Eovaldi on a 2-year deal. I don't get when everyone brings in this idea about the Cubs pitching staff and a dream offseason. Why does it have to always be adding pitching? That doesn't make sense to me. The Cubs pitching infrastructure is actually really good. The issue with the Cubs is offense. And if they're not going to do what it takes to acquire an impact bat, we're going to be having these same conversations that we do each offseason. And it's a shame because last offseason they had a chance to trade for Juan Soto. They had the prospect capital to do the trade, but they didn't. This offseason they have a chance to sign Juan Soto. They have the financial capital to sign him, but they won't. And this
Because
past
they
set,
believe in Owen Casey.
hey, big fan of the Canadian.
Great.
But
Hey.
but I can't even say that with the same face. But this past Saturday, Juan Soto showed us why he's worth the price of admission. Because let me tell you, it's not often that I stay up past 10 p.m. watching a sporting event, but that is exactly what I did on Saturday. I was watching every inning of Guardians and Yankees, and the at bat that Soto had in the top of the 10th inning was ridiculous because the whole at bat, he's just waiting for that fastball. He's following off speed pitch after off speed pitch. He's licking his lips because he knows that fastball is coming. What happens when that fastball comes? He destroys it, and it was beautiful. Gentlemen, that might be the best at bat of all time, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was awesome. He literally was licking his chops. He was fouling off the off speed, and in my head, he was saying, like, his looks to the pitcher were telling him two things: you're going to throw me a fastball, and you're gonna miss. And
Yeah.
he did
He
both
doesn't
of
lack
those
confidence,
things.
that's for sure.
It was amazing. And
Yeah.
like, if that doesn't make you just like, if that doesn't make you want to just demand your franchise pay every dollar that they earn on one player, I don't know what will, because he was, yeah, we're going to be talking about that at bat for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that home run's going to be one of the highlights of the 2020s. When you look back at the decade, you look at big home runs. I mean, even as a kid, all those Yankees home runs, the Derek Jeter Mr. November, the Aaron Boone walk off. We remember all those. And now in the 2020s, the Yankees have the Juan Soto pennant clinching in extra innings. Watching Anthony Rizzo get to celebrate on Cleveland's field after an extra inning win in the playoffs for glory. And then celebrating in that locker room. He's sprayed champagne twice in that locker room. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah. I'm definitely pulling for Yankees for him, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want Rizzo to win another ring.
Yeah, let's get into it. We have arguably 3 of the game's top 10 stars in Aaron Judge,
Easily.
Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, all on the same field playing in the World Series for Juan Soto. So,
I mean, those 4, that's a top 5. That is top 5 in baseball.
Yeah. And we got into this conversation earlier. I never understand the people that are openly rooting against teams who spend money as if to stick it to the man, when in 2024 That ideology doesn't make sense. We talk about baseball wanting to market its players. We talk about baseball wanting to showcase their players. Here we have a 7-game series to determine the World Series, and we have the game's best players in this. I am stoked for Friday.
Oh, I can't
And
wait.
yeah, and it sounds like you guys are rooting for the Yankees. I'm gonna be the third man on that bandwagon as well. I'm definitely rooting for
But
the
here's the
Yankees.
thing: like, if the Yankees don't win, I'm not gonna be upset. Like, I'll
Yeah,
just
I'm not
I
gonna. Right.
here's
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
this is what we dream about as sports
Yeah.
fans. I want the two best. If my team isn't in it, I want the two best teams in the league, in the world,
Yep.
on the biggest stage under the brightest lights, and that's what we're getting. Like, how many times is like a Super Bowl where it's like, ah, man, I really wanted this matchup, or like, like
Yep.
an NBA
Mhm.
Finals. Oh, we were one game away from this. Like, this is it for baseball.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
Yankees. It is Dodgers. And there was a period of time, I think it was in like the 50s and 60s, or maybe the 40s and the 50s. In a span of 10 years, these two teams met 7 times in the
Yep.
World Series.
Yeah.
Yep.
It seemed,
And this is the
yeah.
first time since that. Like,
Yep.
this is generational, boys. This is gonna be fun.
Well, we
Yeah.
talked about New York, New York. It's New York, Brooklyn. If you want to go back to their roots,
Sure,
so
yeah.
that's kind of
There
a
we
cool
go.
little,
Yeah.
Yeah.
little nugget. You know, one thing that I will say is earlier in the postseason, I was pulling pretty hard for the Detroit Tigers. I've always liked the Detroit Tigers. I love
Perfect
their uniforms.
uniforms.
Yeah, those
really good
uniforms
Perfect.
are top in professional sports. They truly, truly are.
Yep.
And I love the story with Detroit. I love how Jason Benetti is absolutely loving Detroit. So if they would have gone to the World Series, I would have been pretty happy. Now, on the reverse side of that, you would have heard, Tom and Jed, well, if you look at what Detroit did after
Yeah,
what the
exactly.
Diamondbacks did.
Exactly.
ah."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I love more than
All the way.
anything,
I would love to hear the interview where they sound like that.
I was about to say, people
I
come
don't-
to this podcast for the sports talk, but they stay for
For-
Alex's impressions of our front
Yeah.
office
It's
executives.
it's a little Simpsons-y, I think. I
Right.
don't know. Yeah. But
hey,
yeah,
it's eye in
sorry.
the sky, Marty.
Yeah, I didn't mean to ruin your flow. I
Yeah,
just had to.
yeah.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But what I love more than anything really about this World Series matchup is that it tells all the cheap ass teams, screw you, you could win with a big budget too. Because
Yeah.
the number of times last year people just kept referencing the Diamondbacks for going on that fluky ass run. I will always have a bone to pick with that team because they ruined our chances. We were mere inches from winning several of those key games. We would have
Yeah.
been in the postseason, not them.
Yeah.
They're not an unlikable team. Not at all. They're not an unlikable team at all. But you can't tell me right now that people around the world who watch baseball would rather watch Diamondbacks Rangers over Shohei Ohtani versus Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
You
Agreed.
can dislike the teams all you want. You cannot want the teams to win all you want. I totally get it. I totally get nobody else rooting for the Yankees or rooting for the Dodgers. I totally get it.
Yeah.
But to say it's not a great matchup on paper and
Yeah.
intriguing, let's be real. I barely remember anything from last year's World Series, and I always follow every World Series no matter
Yeah.
what. What do you think the Fox executives were thinking when it was like Giants Royals and
Yeah.
Giants Rangers? And the Giants have a good fan base, but
Yeah.
those Giants
Cardinals,
teams,
Rangers. Yeah.
right? But those Giants teams, for the fan base that they had, they didn't have the star-studded lineup. They kind of
No.
defied. It's like, oh, Marco Scutaro is leading the way. Like,
Yeah.
the casual fan isn't going to be following Marco
Yeah.
Scutaro as much as Shohei Ohtani.
I'm trying to think of like when the last World Series was that it was like this. Like maybe Dodgers Astros, like in 2017.
Sure.
Perhaps like
Yeah.
you can make the argument there.
Yankees Braves. Go back to Yankees Braves.
Yeah,
in the 90s.
and
Yankees, Braves.
yeah, they met 96 and 99.
Yeah.
I mean 2009 was Yankees Phillies, right?
Yeah, that was
With
pretty
like
cool.
Ryan Howard and
That's pretty
Chase
big.
Utley
Oh,
and
yeah,
all of
that's
them. That
pretty
was a
big.
big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the point is it's been a while since we've gotten this. So
Yeah.
I am like, obviously you hate when your team is playing them, but I mean, I've been watching the Yankees and the Dodgers all year long. The Yankees partially because of Anthony Rizzo. I still check in on our guys, but I mean, Juan Soto and Aaron Judge are must-watch television. Shohei is must-watch television. Mookie Betts is an incredible player. Like, and the Dodgers, for how many injuries that they had, they were just like, yeah, we're the effing Dodgers, so we're just going to keep winning, and that's what they did, and now they're in the World Series. So honestly, like, if our think about this. Let me see if I can fire you guys up like this. What if it wasn't the Dodgers and it was the Cubs? What if it was the megastar Yankees and the Cubs?
But the Cubs have the big market, at least.
They have the big market.
They don't have the
but
stars,
do they have the marketable players?
No, they don't.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people would be like, But
your ratings would still be pretty high.
They would look at our starting lineup and they would have to go to Baseball Reference for almost every player.
Right.
Like,
yeah. They'd be like,
yeah,
they'd say Yankees in 3.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. This World Series is gonna be great. It's like I said, and Alex, you hit the head. I mean, last year's World Series was such a bore. Yeah, I didn't even watch the final couple games because it's what are we doing here? But no,
Astros Phillies was okay.
Astros Phillies was fine.
Yeah, it was okay, I guess.
But no, I will be glued to my TV for this one because this is excited. Sure. We will probably glued to our TV on Sunday because we had the joy of the Bears being on a 3-game winning streak and no game to play. We got to sit back, relax, and watch some football.
I wasn't
relaxed. That was awesome.
I was about to say, and here's the thing. I'm kind of terrified now because watching Green Bay and Houston, that Packers defense is great.
I don't like.
Listen. No. All right, we're not doing this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 games ahead of us. 3 games ahead of us before we even talk about that.
Like, we do.
Yes, look, I'm not talking about it. I'm not ready for it. All right. You can talk about, Packers defense looks good. Those uniforms were hideous. You can talk about the Vikings and the Lions. Yeah, sure. Everybody looked good. Everybody looked top. The Bears are obviously number 4 in the division. Like, okay, I hear you. It's fine. Whatever. But 3 games in a row, bye week. First time that the Bears have scored 5 offensive touchdowns 2 weeks in a row since 1956. Like, it's different. And we had a bye week, and now we have Jaden Daniels faking an injury to not face this Bears defense. The defense that I called the best in the league and everybody scoffed at me for. He's scared. Like, week 11's coming. It's fine. I'll be there. Ready to go. But we got time. Let's go. Let's just go take a trip to Landover, Maryland, and play a little football game that got flexed because everybody wants to watch the Bears. Look, who cares? And also, I enjoyed my Sunday because the Kansas City Chiefs, while Andy Reid coming off a bye week, were underdogs. Thank you for that money. And then the Steelers prime time at home in the alternate uniforms with the block letters that they were 4-0 going into the game with since they brought them back. Thanks for that free money. Aaron Rodgers throwing 2 picks in prime time. Thanks for that free money. I had myself a Sunday, boys. I don't even care.
I do. Tommy, don't get me wrong. Watching these games as a Bears fan is different because we're not watching these games and thinking, wow, this style of football is generations away from where the Bears are. We're watching these games to see, like, okay, with the growth that Caleb Williams is having, can the Bears exploit some of the mismatches that were there? In saying that, I am terrified because, again, I hate to be that that Bears fan that is always looking at the divisional opponents, but what Green Bay is doing with their defense and running game is incredible.
And
And
that is how they beat the Bears. They beat them
yeah,
with defense and beating us in the trenches. They did it last year. They're going to keep doing it. They're just going to pound us to death.
right.
Boys, boys, boys. Sorry, keep going.
And watching the Lions and Vikings, Jared Goff right
That
now
was fun.
is playing out of his mind. And I know I'm not as worried about Jared Goff playing the Bears in Chicago. That tape is what it is. When he's playing a cold weather team outside, he struggles. I'm not worried about that. I am worried about the fact that at least against the Blitz, Jared Goff has been excellent this season as he was against the Vikings. So when it comes to playing Detroit in Detroit, I am now even more terrified for that game. But to Tommy's point, the Bears offense is doing things we haven't seen in our lifetimes. Caleb Williams is doing things we haven't seen a Bears quarterback do in our lifetimes. The Bears are now looking forward to being in primetime games. So there's a lot to be excited about, but the mountain that is the NFC North is right around the corner.
There is a lot to be excited about, and
Yeah.
there is a mountain to climb. The Bears are obviously at the bottom of the NFC North. I'm glad you guys are sitting down for this.
Oh, no.
Caleb Williams has played 6 games in the NFL. We have about 400 ahead of us. It is his rookie year. Jared Goff and the Lions, the Packers defense, and the Vikings defense are very good. They are very good teams. They're going to be playoff teams. Could the Chicago Bears be a playoff team this year? Absolutely. They have the formula, and they are truly building something special. But that's the key word. They are building. It's not built, it is building. It doesn't have to happen this year. Everybody just calm down. The Bears are on a 3-game winning streak and are coming out of the bye looking the best we have ever seen them look in our lifetime. Stop talking about a game that is 4 weeks away.
No, you're
Who
right. You are right. there,
cares?
You're
yes.
right. No,
And the
you're right.
Bears could lose to all of them. They could lose to all of them at least once, and they could miss the playoffs. Guess what? We get Caleb Williams next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. It's gonna be okay. Let them have their last seconds of fun. Think about this as a Lions fan. Oh my gosh, we're finally good. But the Bears are now coming. Like this year, this is all the Lions have left. This is it for them. They have to play like there is no tomorrow because there is no tomorrow.
I
The
don't know
Bears
about that.
are on their way.
You almost
Don't
had me.
panic. Don't worry. It's gonna be okay. Week 11, we lose to the Packers. Yes, we're going to be upset because we lost to the Packers. If we lose to the Vikings on Thanksgiving Day, it's gonna feel like a gut punch because the Lions lose on Thanksgiving Day. And if we can't figure it out against the Vikings, it's gonna stink. And if we miss the playoffs, I'm gonna be sad. But guess what? This is being built right now. It is in progress. You're trying to take something out of the oven like an hour before it's supposed to be. Everybody just calm down. Why don't we just go to Landover, Maryland, or wherever the hell the Washington Commanders play and play a football game on Sunday? And then the week after that, we're going to play another one. And then we're going to play another one. And then we'll play a game against the Packers. And then I can tell you this defense is good. And then I can tell you Caleb Williams knows what he's doing. And maybe you guys will feel like, okay, we were stupid, but now we're not stupid. It is building and it will be built.
I got nothing. All I want to do is take a mashup of when we started this podcast, the doom and gloom Tommy had when talking about the Bears compared to what we just heard for the past 5 minutes, because it's a completely different person that we're with now,
Yeah.
and it is great.
Because the Cubs are content with mediocrity and the Bears want to do something we've never seen before. I'm going with option 2.
I got nothing. Can't argue with it. 10 out of
May
10.
I
Also
bullet point your
the
list?
Canucks scored on the Blackhawks in literally 22 seconds. We were 22 seconds into the game and they scored a goal.
Yeah, I know. I
Wild.
yeah,
Sorry.
I know.
Go on.
Let me bullet point your points. The point about the Green Bay game, 100% correct. You
Thank
can
you.
only play the game that's in front of you. The only thing we should be thinking about is this game against Washington. You are 100% correct.
Thank you.
Things change week to week.
Jaden Daniels is scared of this defense. Go on.
Terrified.
Okay, meatballs. Number 2.
Bears.
Yes, we are just growing Caleb. And yes, this isn't the year that we think the Bears are going to go all the way. They could finish with a respectable record and still in last. That is definitely in play. You are 100% correct there. The one thing I'm going to push back on, I don't know if this is, I agree that this is probably the peak of what the Lions are at. And this is probably their best year. Like, if there's going to be a year they're going to be really on top, it is this year, not the Bears. That's fair. That's fair. But they got a lot of those guys locked up for a while. Now, I do think that they're not going to be around for 5+ years as a dominant team, because we see a lot of windows close within a few years just because of the nature of football, nature of the game. Hell, we're hearing like rumors about Myles Garrett, Max Crosby. The Lions could say, you know what? We're going to put all our chips on the table this year. We're going to trade away draft picks. We're going to commit money. We are going to put all our chips on the table. And I wouldn't blame them for it. Like, this is their time to win.
Yeah.
But they should absolutely do that.
No.
Yeah, they should. And you know, to be fair, when Ben Johnson leaves, you know,
he's going to leave this year.
So we'll see. But they do have a lot of those guys around for a while. So I do still think they will be there. And it just, until we beat Green Bay, I'll never believe we'll be better than them. They did it once in 2018. Good on them. But it frustrates me because I think they're talented. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're a bad team, but they could easily have 2 more losses. If the Texans weren't stupid and played for a field goal, and if the Rams would have just completed 1 more drive. I know we can't play that game. The Bears shouldn't have won opening day either. Like, we can't fully play that game, but it just seems like fate is always on their side in the regular season, and it's frustrating.
Look, why don't you just stop thinking about it and just go play the Commanders on Sunday?
Okay.
It's going to be fine. See, look, my voice is down here. All right? It's going to be okay.
We changed levels. I was down here with the Cubs. You were up here with the Cubs. You were
I
down
know.
here with the Bears. I'm up here with the Bears.
Look, I just
the Bears have scarred me for life.
You know why I'm so confident in what is happening with the Bears?
Why is that?
Is because Caleb Williams is doing things we have never seen before. Yeah. The offensive players are picking and choosing what plays they want to run and when they want to play them on the bus to the stadium. Like, they're so in depth, so in tune with each other. But the biggest thing is they are making Matt Eberflus as a head coach look good because they're 4-2. And Matt Eberflus has done terrible things this year, but they're 4-2 because of what is on the field, in spite of the dude with the headset. Like that, this should be telling us something. Like, we could not overcome John Fox. We cannot overcome Matt Nagy. We are overcoming Matt Eberflus. This is good.
I don't want to overcome.
Nobody wants to, but look at us do it. It's
how are you
good.
going to beat the elite teams that way?
Caleb Williams. It's gonna be
Yeah,
okay.
I will not to fully drink Tommy's Kool-Aid. I will say
You can take
what the
sips. It's okay.
what the difference is between John Fox years and Matt Nagy years and the early years of Matt Eberflus is what have we always said? If the Bears have a quarterback, it masks all the problems. And the Bears seemingly have a quarterback and it's masking their problems. Not to play into a national comparison, but the Kansas City Chiefs have a ton of problems, but they're undefeated. You know why? Because of the quarterback.
And I
So
think they're coasting. They're coasting. I
Sure,
they
really
yeah.
think
might
they're
be,
just
but they look
They
bad.
could be
Yeah,
coasting, but that's a team that's gotten lucky this year.
yeah, yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Look, and they did not play well on Sunday. But luckily, the Niners played worse. You
right.
and
know,
they're
like
very hurt.
they're getting by, and they are undefeated. They should not be like. You look at the stat book with Mahomes with more interceptions than
Yeah,
touchdowns. You're like, this is a bad team. They're undefeated, right? And
it's crazy.
and vice versa. There's probably some real bad teams out there that are lighting up the stat book. Who knows? Like,
I
I'm
mean,
just,
I will say Joe Burrow is having an
yeah,
amazing quarterback season, but
yeah,
the Bengals only have 2 wins, which
yeah.
is
I'm
what
not,
Yeah, their
I'm not,
team
I'm
tank.
not, I'm not selling my stock on the Bengals just yet. But
Joe Shiesty gets hot. I'm
yeah,
here for it though.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm here for
The
it.
thing with the Bears is like, it's this season. We're at the point now where the worst is to come because the schedule is brutal. But you want to talk about luck? How about the Bears not getting a divisional game until week 11 in the
Yeah,
hardest division in football? They get 10 full weeks, 9 games, 10 weeks of football to prepare Caleb Williams for an absolute gauntlet of games because it's going to be our division, and then the Niners are in there, and then the Seahawks are in there. It's going to get very difficult towards the end and at the
yeah.
end. But
Well,
look at all this time he's had to prepare, and we saw what we saw in week 1. Every single week, Caleb Williams is becoming a better quarterback, and you can see it in the movements, in the way he's throwing, in the tight windows. The receivers, nobody is saying, I need the ball. I need the ball. Everybody's like, hey, you should pass it to Cole, and you should do it here so he scores a touchdown. That's amazing. This is a team. We're getting there. It's cooking, boys. It's cooking.
I mean, and I'll
I
say this too is for Caleb's sake, the fact that you're going up against the best, you're learning against the best. So
Uh-huh.
there's a very positive spin
100%.
on it too.
Yep.
So
So look, we could go 0-6 in the division, and we'll all be upset about it, right? It'll stink. It'll 1,000% stink. But you don't think a guy like Caleb Williams is putting that into his memory bank and was like,
For
never
sure.
happening to me again?
you can't go 0-6.
You can't.
Yeah,
No,
can't.
you can't. And I don't
That
think
would
the
be
Bears.
brutal.
And I'm not saying that the Bears will. I don't think they will because
If you went 3-3, I
that's what
would
I'm.
take that.
That's what I'm saying. Like if hear me out. Let's say week 11 lose against the Packers. Caleb has a bad game. I would put a lot of money on Caleb and the Bears going to Lambeau and winning in the last week of the season. Just because Caleb will be like, that is never happening to me ever again.
I'm not
I'm
there
not worried.
yet,
I am
but
not. I am
I
not.
got you.
I am not worried. I have zero worry right now. It's gonna be okay. If
Yeah.
2024, the 2024 season, let's just have some fun. Next year, let's make our path through the division, but let's just have some fun.
No, yeah, I'm not there yet. I will say The schedule works out nice because we could be looking at a Bears teams that does have either 6 or 7 wins by the time that the division games do start. Which, if that's the case, a 3-3 record would put them right in that wild card conversation. So that would be a fun conversation to have at the end of the season.
So let's just start by beating the Commanders on Sunday.
Yes. That's
Because
all you
Jaden
can do.
Daniels-
That's all you can do.
Bears.
Bears winning on Sunday.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is a scaredy cat.
We'll see if he plays. It's not foregone that he will or won't. I think he's going to want to play.
If he plays, I'll say the game is very, very close.
Yeah, if he plays, I think
the Bears could lose if he plays.
Yes, me too.
Same. I think in either situation, I think I'm going to predict the Bears. I do think if Jaden Daniels does play, that could just be a wild card that shifts it to the Commandos. But for right now, I have Bears winning.
I also think that the Bears defense will be the best that Jaden Daniels has seen this year. So,
and important note about Jaden Daniels, he favors the right side. So if he does play and you're the Bears defense, put Jalen Johnson on the right side and shut him down
all day long.
No.
Yeah.
Before we shift to the White Sox, I do quickly want to touch on the Sunday night game because Mike Tomlin all last week took some criticism for his quarterback decision. He decided to let Russ cook. Justin Fields became the first healthy quarterback in the Super Bowl era to lead a team to a 4-2 record and not start the 7th game. By the time Sunday's game was over, we all saw that Tomlin made the right decision. It's Russ's team now, right?
I think it always was.
I think the Jets are a lot worse than people give them credit for being. And I don't want to discredit for the Steelers for what they did. I mean, they went out and they won the game that they were scheduled to play. And Russ, after a tough start, he looked really good. But yeah, he got to beat up on a bad Jets team. And now he gets to beat up on a bad Giants team on Monday Night Football at home. Like, this could not be a better scenario for Russ to get going, you know?
Yeah.
And then, but after that, we'll find out because they're at the Commanders, at home against the Ravens, and then Browns, Bengals, Browns. So we got some division games coming up for the Steelers that could be telling. But yeah, looked great after the first few drives on Sunday night. He'll probably look fantastic against the Giants. And I think the Commanders could be a trap game before the Ravens. So we'll see.
Only other thing I'll say from that game is Aaron Rodgers is done.
He stinks.
Terrible.
He stinks.
No.
I didn't watch him on McAfee today, but I'm sure it wasn't his fault.
You know what?
Oh, it's the media and you guys.
Yeah. I was about to say,
Hey, wait. Aaron Rodgers kind of sounds like Jed Hoyer and Tom Ricketts.
I know. What's going on?
More like this.
Yeah, no. Aaron Rodgers is done. And I love every second of his downfall.
Last year, before the season began, I placed a small wager on the Jets to miss the playoffs. Luckily, I mean, 3 seconds in, it was a winner.
Right.
For plus money, and I took it for even more plus money this year. So
my guy,
very excited for that to cash, and I will take those winnings and I will do it until Aaron Rodgers retires.
No, I love it. I love every second of that. Getting into the back half of our show, last Thursday, the pod dropped. On the same day, news broke that the White Sox are potentially open for sale and potentially on the move. Really quickly, are we buying this, or is Jerry taking a page out of his 1980s playbook?
Go ahead, Alex.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Either.
Not saying I don't buy the team. I mean, I don't buy this whole thing. I think that obviously there's going to come that time of the Reinsdorf estate sells, when Jerry passes away. What we understand is they're going to sell the Sox, keep the Bulls. And, maybe they are putting some feelers out there, but I mean, I don't buy that they're seriously under sale at the moment. I could be wrong. We'll see, but I just don't. It's kind of like that double, what do you call it? Double leverage. here's a group that wants to move to Nashville and pushing for the Nashville. Here's a guy that wants public funding and wants to get the stadium built, and they are saying no because he doesn't have Thompson as the governor like he did in 1990. So he's not going to be able to take the case until midnight and persuade him to give him a sweetheart deal because it's not 1990 anymore.
Yeah, I think this is all a thing too. Like when it was first reported, all the names were matching up, and I was like, oh, Nashville, like, because they talked at the last winter meetings, they were seen having a conversation, so obviously, like, it was kind of lining up. But the league would make way more money if there was an expansion team in Nashville than a team moving. So that leads me to believe the White Sox aren't going anywhere. Could he sell them still? Sure. Will he? I don't know. The value of the White Sox can only be going down. Not really. Like, everything still goes up no matter what. But I think we're at a point where he is done caring about the White Sox. I mean, it's pretty obvious and it's pretty clear. I don't think the White Sox move anywhere outside of Chicago, I should say, because I do believe ultimately the ballpark that is planned for the 78 is going to be built, and it will be for the White Sox. I do still feel that eventually will happen.
Not the Tampa Bay Rays.
No, the Chicago White Sox are not leaving Chicago. And quite frankly, I don't want them to leave Chicago. This should be a 2-town city.
That's all we know.
As we all know how White Sox fans are. But I would be crushed for them to lose, because
it would feel very weird.
It would feel weird. The White Sox are one of the founding franchises in the league. Like, they're one of the originals. It would stink to have them leave Chicago when they've been here for over 100 years. So, and there's roots. So they're not going anywhere. I do think they'll eventually get the stadium. I do eventually think it will be when Jerry does sell the team, or the Reinsdorf estate does sell the team, and whoever buys the team has the private funding to make it happen and will make it happen. And that'll be it'll be an exciting time for baseball, because I've seen some of the plans that are rumored for the 78, and the amount of space that they have there to build a ballpark, build around the ballpark. And look, as a Chicagoan, like, that is just another booster in the South Loop of Chicago to bring more economy, bring more money in, and spruce it up a little bit, and remind people how great Chicago is, because the national media of Chicago is ugly, and all they hear about is the gangs and the shootings and stuff. And I know from firsthand, I have a lot of family in Georgia, and I go to visit, and I see some friends and stuff, and people see me in the grocery store. They're like, oh yeah, you haven't gotten shot yet. Like, that is the perception of Chicago, and it stinks.
Right.
The more things that we can do, like building awesome ballparks near the city and on the south end of the city, it would just be incredible. Like, my office, where I work and do a day job. Yes, I do have a real job. It is in the South Loop. It's on the south side, and they've done a lot in that area to build it and make it and way better than it was in the 80s and 90s. I can tell you that. So, city's growing. Ballpark like that. This was long-winded to say the Sox aren't going anywhere, and I hope they get that ballpark.
Well, it is funny you mentioned the 78 and that idea of a new ballpark in a district. I mean, look what they're doing around the United Center. Look at that decade-long project that they're going to do to develop around the entire United Center.
And the way that it was around the old Chicago Stadium on the west side, that was bad.
That was very bad.
And look at the West Loop now. It is incredible in the West Loop.
Yeah.
Much improved, yes.
Yeah, so honestly, a new ballpark, it would just do that on the South Loop, and I'm here for it. I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to kind of close the chapter on this segment, I think it's inevitable that Jerry is going to sell. It's also inevitable that the Sox get a new park. I think Jerry does sell. He's not going to sell right now. He's going to sell closer to when he's ready to hang it up. Probably that's going to be around the same time the Sox get their new park. Hopefully it's at the 78. But yeah, I don't think they'll move in, and I don't think Jerry is selling right now. So with that, Alex, Blackhawks home opener tonight. Let's do that hockey. How the Hawks looking?
Well, so
It's
the other
not
night,
the home opener.
yeah,
I
this
know,
is their
I know.
third home game. Right now, they've given up
I'm
Do you
4
even know
goals.
Puck, bro?
No, because I can't watch, which we'll get into
That's
that.
that's a good point.
Touche.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
But one period into tonight, they're playing the Canucks. We've given up 4 goals on 11 shots. 2 of them shouldn't have counted. One was a very questionable offsides goal. The other, there were 6 men on the ice for Vancouver. So that's a whole other story. But
Yeah.
Taylor Hall scored his, I think it was his 700th point in his career. He had a great goal. Again, this isn't a good team, but they had a really nice home opener against the Sharks, which you got to take care of business against them. You had a disappointing loss at home against Buffalo. I didn't really see much of that game, but
I watched it. It was tough. It was
yeah.
tough.
Craig Smith had a good game, so good on him. But Teuvo Teravainen, I'm liking the way he's looking. I think the Bedard line continues to look better and better, even when they're not scoring, they're generating chances. But boy, eventually you're going to need a real defense and real goaltending. Let's just say that.
Yeah, they've come a long way from putting 1 shot on net in the first 2 periods of their season. I will say that. Even tonight, like Vancouver scored within 22 seconds of the game starting, and they still put up 2 goals. Like they're still putting up a fight in this thing. We're only in the first period, and obviously, if you're listening to this, the game is long over by now. But yeah, we said that this team was going to be bad. It is a bad team, but there you can see it. You can see something happening, and it's just nice to know that like when the Hawks are going into a game, you're like, hey, anything could happen because they went to Edmonton and just wiped the floor with the Oilers. Like that was awesome. So it's the season is going to be filled with random nights like that. It's just when we pick and choose. So I'm excited about the Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, they're growing, and we'll see how this keeps progressing. But yeah, you got to look at the positives the way you can, because there's going to be some nights that are going to be just be
Oh, it's going to
ugh.
stink.
And right
It's
now
gonna
it feels
stink.
kind of ugh.
Yeah. Some of those, yeah, it's going to be nice to not have to stay up for some of those West Coast games.
Touche.
Yeah, I want to be excited about the Hawks, but I can't because I still can't watch. Which brings us to the opening of our junk drawer at the end of the episode. It seems that CHSN has now drawn a line in the sand with the negotiations with Comcast, essentially telling us, the consumers, hey, if you want us, switch TV providers. And let me just say that putting the onus on the consumer to watch your product is often bad business, and it almost never works when you're negotiating with Comcast.
Yeah, this is a train wreck. I mean, I bought my antenna because I have YouTube TV,
Right.
and it like I can't live without watching the Blackhawks and the Bulls, so I did
Right.
it. It sucks
I might
because
have to.
it stops and it goes and it stops and it goes and I can never get it right, and like my window's open and it's closed, and I don't know. I got to figure it out. But yeah, this is bad. I miss NBC Chicago so hard.
They were good. Like they had a good production.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fine, and I don't know what led to all of this, but doing it the way that they have was so stupid. And I feel bad because I have a couple friends that work like behind the scenes
Yeah, me
with
too.
some of it,
But
and
it's not their fault.
and that is not
Right,
their
yeah.
fault. One of my friends is does the social media for the network,
no.
and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like,
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
like,
no.
yeah, it's like constant messages like, hey, this isn't your fault. I just want to tell you it's not your fault. But yeah, so I try not to say anything on Twitter or anything about it, but I hate that I'm watching it on an antenna. It is so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of the Bulls, Bulls 6.5-point underdogs tomorrow night against the New Orleans Pelicans. By the time this comes out, the game will be over. my question to you guys: do the Bulls cover the 6.5 in New Orleans?
No, they get blown out.
Hell if I know.
No.
My emotional investment is
Yeah,
so low in that.
I'll
I
take.
don't-
I'm gonna take an alternate line of 9.5, minus 9.5. That is
Okay.
for the Pelicans.
Yeah, do that because
Yeah, this Bulls team
um,
stinks.
yeah, and the Bulls are playing the Pelicans at the wrong time because it's a beginning of the season and Zion is healthy. So yeah, no,
He
it
is
is
on.
going.
He is on the injury report. However,
Oh, how about that? He's already not healthy. So
yeah,
the
he
NBA
will be.
season has.
He will be a game time decision. For
Ah, okay. So a true sign that the NBA season has started
so
is
you're
that Zion
telling me
is
a
on the injury
chance.
report.
That's
Boys,
so
let's just
dumb.
get into it really quick. My life
Yeah,
ended
yeah.
on Saturday. My life ended on Saturday.
Yeah, the Crimson Tide. Speaking of teams that stink, the Alabama Crimson Tide stink for the
trash.
third week in a row. They looked awful, dude.
They are
And
trash.
Tennessee tried so hard to be like, no, really, you can win this if you
Right.
want to. And they were like, nah, it's cool. It
Yeah.
was so bad. But then I bet a lot of money on Texas. So who
No.
knows?
It was trash. I mean, and hand up, you know, I fell for it. I fell for Kalen DeBoer at the
Yeah,
beginning
it
of the
was bad.
season.
It was bad, bro.
I fell for how good that offense looked. I fell for how dominant they looked in the first half against Georgia. And these past 3 weeks have been miserable.
Yeah, tough. I had a bad Saturday. My Saturday started with thinking that Nebraska was going to keep it close with Indiana.
Oh,
They got taken to the woodshed. Lost Texas. I had a couple other losses, and then I'm a Michigan State guy, and I was like, I'm staying as far away from Michigan and State as possible. They had no problem taking care of Iowa at home. Like, it's just, yeah. I had to go to my Indiana office on Friday, and I did put a money line wager on your Illini, Alex, and that
I
hit.
know.
So
Illini looking good in the throwbacks.
the helmets were awesome.
Aren't
They were
those
nice.
great?
They were
Were
sick.
awesome.
Aren't those
They were sick.
awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, what a
that's
way.
that's like a uniform you can't pull that out every year.
Oh no,
that-
no.
That is like a once every 10 years. Like you want to do
or
the
in this
thing.
case, once every 100 years.
Right? Yeah, that's that is a uniform that you can't just pull out every year or multiple times a year. Like it's got to be 3-4 years before you're like, we got to do the thing.
Yeah, no.
Those were sweet though.
But they were sick. Watching that game was nice.
You couldn't have asked for a better celebration for the 100th year Memorial Stadium. You go out there, you have these awesome throwbacks. You're 5-1. You take on Michigan, who you've not beaten in 15 years, and you beat them on your home field in front of a capacity crowd.
That was worth storming.
Yeah.
Beating Alabama was not worth storming.
No.
That was there was another bad storm too. I'm trying to remember. There was another storm. I was like, this is not a storm-worthy game. But I can't remember what it was. That's how unstorm-worthy it was. I can't remember.
People tried to say Illinois wasn't. I'm like, come on. They haven't beaten Michigan in 15 years.
Yeah,
this is a historic day.
Yeah, you beat Michigan at home like that in like 100 years. And what it meant to the coach, because the year before that, wasn't it his mom who passed away? Like when they played Michigan. So like,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Big thing. Yeah. I was all for that. I was for the storming there.
Yeah. Bielema has more notable wins than I think Lovey and his predecessor before that combined. So this has been a fun season. Last year's ending was such a disappointment when you had a bowl game in your grasp and you fumbled it away against a not so good Wildcats team. Now you're already bowl eligible and a chance to win a few more games, and you can find yourself in a nice bowl game. And if you get a nice bowl game and you win, that's a hell of a season for Illinois.
Yeah, they're playing with house money at this point. Oh, that was the other one. Maryland beat USC.
Oh no, yeah.
And they stormed the field. I was like, okay, I get it's USC, but also they're 1-4 now in the Big Ten. So like,
I was about to say, they're
Yeah.
USC, but they haven't. USC really hasn't been USC for a long
For
time.
like 20 years. Yeah, it's been
Right,
a long
yeah.
I remember, what was it? Was it Barkley? Matt Barkley was like, USC is back.
Right,
And like, they most
right,
certainly were not back.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that was the other one. I was like, I
Nah,
don't think
no.
that's storm worthy. Yeah. Yeah. Anywho,
Alex, have you acknowledged your tribal chief today?
No.
I have to acknowledge that I have not watched in a while. And I was supposed
Oh
to
my
watch
God.
this morning, but then I got caught up with stuff and yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I watched this morning. Yeah, Seth and Bronson Reed are going to kill each other. I will say we are close to the OG bloodline reuniting.
Okay.
Tommy, give you a recap. Jey Uso was actually on SmackDown, and he opened SmackDown addressing Bloodline 2.0 and how they essentially destroyed the family.
Okay.
Until it was like, no, man, I'm the new version of the family. Come on my side. And Jay's like, no yeet. And he's like, if Jacob keeps looking at me, I'm gonna pop him in the face.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, I
Right.
have a cue. Maybe you're about to answer it. Where are we at with Rocky? Does he just appear at Bad Blood and that's it?
Yeah. So Rock kind of came back at Bad Blood and then disappeared again.
And
But
we
it
haven't
sounds
seen
like,
him since.
yeah, it sounds like they're saving that whole explanation for when they moved to Netflix.
That's
But
fair.
in the big Bloodline Civil War update, Jey Uso was defending his championship against Braun Breaker, who decided to interfere Bloodline 2.0 and cost Jay the title.
Oh
no.
no. Braun Breaker got the
Bra-
I mean,
Braun-
what am I
yeah.
talking about?
Right.
But oh man.
That 2-second revelation was great.
I mean, I
being
love
upset, but then also loving
I
it.
mean, I love me some Braun Breaker, but
But yeah, so
shut up,
now-
Alex.
But now we have a clear path to Jay reuniting with Jimmy and Roman. So that's the wrestling update, boys.
All right. I'll get back. I'll catch up with Raw maybe tomorrow. I should be able to.
Honestly, you got time. I mean, I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean, it's not going to be good until the new year.
yeah. I was
Is there
gonna
any
text
more?
you, like,
We have another pay-per-view before the.
oh,
end
we
of
have
the year, right?
Survivor Series might be decent.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm because like even like a lot of their storylines, I think they're just treading water. Like the whole Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan thing. I'm like, oh, this is what we're still doing. But yeah, no. Once they move to Netflix, I think that's the time to get back on board, and we'll get Alex on board.
Oh yeah, we'll get Alex on board.
Good luck with that.
I'm already plotting with my cousin about Royal Rumble in Indy.
Well, I got an email today about witnessing John Cena's final WrestleMania. I'm like, oh my god, if I didn't have a kid on the way,
I know,
it would
right?
be all the money.
It's in Vegas too, isn't it?
I know it would be all the money. if I didn't have a
There's
kid.
no way. Like, no
Yeah.
way.
Hmm.
Yeah. I was when it was first released that the Cubs were going to play in Japan, I was like, oh man, that would be kind of cool. But then I realized like I would be paying probably what I pay for season tickets
Yep.
for 2 baseball games. Like,
Yep.
yeah, whatever. Well, that was
That was
fun.
therapeutic. I would say it was a wide.
Anytime we go over an hour, you know that
I know.
somebody's getting hot about something.
I know it was
Yep,
a
that's
wide-ranging,
true.
emotional episode. I liked it. Tommy, what we got the name for this thing?
I'm going to name it Jed Sucks, but Caleb.
Oh,
I thought you were just gonna stop. Jed Sucks.
I know.
That's it.
I was like, okay.
Jed
Cubs will be-
Sucks, but Caleb.
I like it. All right, boys. See you guys next week.
All righty.
Bye, friends.